Welcome back to Bay Area Focus. With a massive collection of diaries and photographs, the GLBT Historical Society shares stories of all stripes from the LGBT community. Paul Boneberg and Elisabeth Cornu from the GLBT Historical Society join me now. Thanks for coming on the show. First of all, I have to say congratulations, 30 years this year, right?
That's right.
Celebrating, that's
so 30th
amazing.
Anniversary, yeah. Began in the depths of the AIDS pandemic and has been collecting material for the last 30 years.
Did you ever think it would last this long? 30 years?
Well, I've only been with the organization 9 years, and I know the group always thought that the collection at some point would go somewhere else. And they collected art also thinking somebody else will open a museum. And it wasn't until our 25th year that we actually opened the museum ourselves.
Sure.
And so we're slowly adopting the fact that our holdings are being used and seen by the public, not just by filmmakers and historians.
And so for 30 years, you've been collecting not only documents, but art. And now is the time to really showcase that.
Yeah, the kind of art we've collected has to do with GLBT history of Northern California. But recently we decided to really catalog it, have a good look at it, and now we're ready to show it.
And so there's this new exhibition.
Yes. In May 15th, the new exhibit will open at the museum, 30 years of collecting art that tells our stories, and it'll be our major new exhibit for the summer.
How did you select what you would show?
Well, we're talking to the community. The art holdings that the GLBTHS has in its archives has to do with the women's movement of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, with the development of bars, clubs, leather community, et cetera, trans group, queer groups. And so we had to be careful. There's not everything is addressed, but we found some very exciting artworks. For example, about the women's building on 18th Street. We found some wonderful, wonderful artworks of the early bar scenes or club scenes, things that have really disappeared now, or have changed to be something completely different. So we want to communicate what there was in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And we found some treasures.
That's great.
So it may not be a whole retrospective of a single artist, but it would be, for example, if you went to a bar or a club or a cafe and you always remembered there was that fabulous painting that was above the wall or whatever, and then the cafe closed, and the records and the material came to us, and what also came to us was that painting. And so we have now hundreds of such items, and we're going to show a few dozen at this exhibit.
And there are so many groups to consider and to include. Do you ever get criticism if you don't include certain people?
We hear from people regularly about having been excluded. And what we basically say, you know, we also have a community gallery. And at about every 6-month intervals, we do a community gallery exhibit. And so they will have their own chance of being showcased and put their own history on the wall. And we've done that over the last 5 years. And so our response is you will be there.
You'll be included, don't worry.
Yeah. We do rotate the exhibits so that we can include a wide range of groups. The queer community of San Francisco Bay Area is so diverse that you just have to rotate the exhibits and try to tell everyone's stories. We do the best we can. I think the community generally understands that we're doing the best we can to tell everyone's story.
And who do you hope will see this art?
Well, just about all of San Francisco. It's not just meant for the queer community, it's our history, it's the city's history. So we're hoping that some of the museum goers will come, not just the GLBT history museum goers, but museum goers who go see exhibits. We're hoping that different members of the community will show up. I think they will. And of course, tourists come to San Francisco all the time.
Most of our visitors at the museum are tourists. They come to the famous Castro to see LGBT culture, and there's the museum. And in addition to the front gallery on art, there's a main gallery, the back gallery, which deals with historic artifacts. So that'll Harvey Milk material, Phyllis Lyon Martin, the founding of the lesbian movement in America, and so on. That material. So we'll get two groups, the art lovers and the history lovers will come through the summer. Mostly tourists, a lot of locals.
That'll be great. We have an example of some of the art that you'll be showcasing. If we can just go through some of this. Now, is this one of the...
This is one of the early bars. It's called the Ambush.
Okay.
It was one of the South of Market bars that became a gathering place for Leathermen.
Okay.
Back in the 70s and 80s. It still exists, but in a different format. This is one of the paintings by Chuck Arnett. Chuck Arnett was a very prominent artist who moved to the area and surrounded himself with other artists. And together they created murals and backdrops for the bars, logos for the bars. They even ran some of the bars. So they were very important during the bar scene. This is a transgender or a transvestite, in the old words, a drag queen person, Doris Fish, who also became a prominent entertainer and was a good artist. This painting is done by the person herself.
So many people will come and they'll see this art and they'll recognize it.
Yes.
And say something will speak to them about it.
They'll also recognize here. So it's one thing to show someone a flyer about a bar or to show someone, a photograph of a bar, but to actually show them a major artifact from the bar and a piece of art from the bar, it changes the experience. It's something about seeing the actual thing itself, and we'll do that, but through art.
Well, this is amazing. The GLBT History Museum, it'll remain in its prime Castro neighborhood, right?
Yes.
So you have just signed a lease, and it's often referred to as San Francisco's queer Smithsonian. Smithsonian, yeah. Sorry.
The archive has hundreds of thousands of objects. It's one of the largest collections of queer historic materials in the world, with many large collections, tens of thousands of photographs, and so on. The art holding is actually one of the smaller areas of our holdings because it's difficult to hold and preserve art. Most of what we have is manuscript collections, photographs, and so on, but some extraordinary artifacts as well, particularly relating, for example, to Harvey Milk. Okay, well, this exhibit should be great. Thanks so much for coming on the show to tell us about it. And for more information on the GLBT Historical Society, just log on to glbthistory.org. That's glbthistory.org. Coming up, summer camps, senior programs, and more at the India Community Center. We'll be right back.